All right, Pat, back here with episode 2 of the 2020 Orioles rebuild using Out of the Park Baseball 21. Last time I just kind of showed a bunch of trades that I was looking at, the moves I'd made with my scouting director, etc. So you can see up here in the date, it's Monday, March 23rd, 2020, which is about 3 days away from opening day. I've made a bunch of trades. And I have my opening day roster pretty much set. So that's the stuff I'm going to go over this time. And just a quick thing about trades, some people who play Out of the Park a lot will only make trades with the computer if it makes sense for the computer team. I don't worry about that as much insofar as this team wants my first baseman, but do they really need my first baseman? Or, is it going to be their third stringer, but they're giving up a top prospect for him because he's a really good first baseman? Just stuff like that. I don't look at that as much. I turn the trade difficulty all the way up. I make the computer favor prospects to make it even harder to rebuild. And from there, I just kind of make whatever trades the computer's willing to make. And then as you're about to see, I made a bunch of trades. Which normally at the beginning of a franchise I wouldn't do. It's just kind of, I guess it's not completely realistic that to make like 6 trades in a 1-day period. But I guess in real life, a GM would take over and make these trades over the course of the winter. And like I said in the last episode, I'm just trying to shed as much payroll as I can so I can pump up my development budget, so I can pump up my drafting budget, etc. All right, so here we go. The trades that were made. And some of these I kind of went over last time before I pulled the trigger on them. So here's the trade log. And I'll go into some of these guys in more detail in a minute when I look at my prospects. So I did make the trade with Mancini to the Astros for Toro and Bilek and Armenteros and 2 other dudes. Also got $520,000 in cash. I looked around a lot. This was really the best offer I could get. And, unfortunately, a lot of the guys I'm getting back are 23, 24, 25. It's not like I'm getting back 18 and 19-year-olds with a ton of potential. These guys, they might turn into okay major leaguers, but, I'm not going to be able to rebuild the farm system overnight here, I guess, so it's realistic. And then I also looked at this trade last time, too, and it went through. I gave up Givens and Urias, who was not a guy I was going to use because he's a bad fielder and a utility guy. And I got these 5 guys. Cole Freeman was the top guy that I got. He was like the 14th ranked prospect for the Nationals. Also got $420,069 in cash. I just tried to get as much cash as I could in every deal. And then the Royals made a trade. Melendez, who's a pretty good catching prospect. That's not me, though, so who cares? The Royal, actually, a lot of people were really interested in Jose Iglesias, which he was making $2.5 million. He's an awesome fielder, but I was happy to get rid of him. There were a lot of really good offers for him. I guess because of the fact that he's like an amazing fielding shortstop, as you can see on the right-hand side there. People wanted him. So anyways, I got back this dude, Kyle Isbell. He was the Royals' 3rd-round pick in the 2018 draft. My scout really likes him. You can see there's what OSA thinks of him. There's what my scout doesn't like him as much. And the O's are kind of stocked with a good amount of outfield prospects, but I'm just going for the best player I could get. He's batting 3rd, cleanup and Frederick can play in center field, and Adley Rutschman's batting 3rd. So hopefully they'll come up through the system together. Got $800,000 in cash, and this dude Andrew Beckwith, who, he's an A-ball, he's a closer, he's 25. We'll see what happens. I don't hold out a lot of hope for him, but just trying to get as many assets as I can. And then I made a trade with the Yankees. Hanser Alberto. The main thing was the Yankees were willing to go with a lot of cash, like $1.1 million, which was awesome, and to shed the $1.6 million. And I got this guy, Isaiah Gilliam. In real life, he was a 20th round draft pick in 2015 of the Yankees. So as you can see, in 2019, he was in high A ball as like a 22-year-old, and he's 23 now. He put up 2.1 more. I don't expect a ton from him. This guy, though, Trevor Stefan, he is 24. He's a pitcher, and he's actually slated to be my closer in Norfolk for now. My scout thinks he might be able to become a starter. I'm not sure his stamina seems okay for a starter. Maybe he doesn't. His third pitch isn't good enough, but he was a starter last year in the minors. But my guys seem to view him more as a closer. But he's closing in AAA, where I have a decent amount of young arms. So my guys seem to like him a lot. And was that the last one? Oh no! Oh, and then I made a trade with the Blue Jays. I had Jose Rondon. He was on the MLB roster as a utility guy. But as you can see, fielding, I mean, he's fine at shortstop, terrible at everything else. And I just don't have much use for guys who can't field. I get rid of them unless they're an awesome hitter. So I got some cash, $58,000, and then I got just a couple arms. Ty Tice, he's a bullpen dude. He'll pitch in Norfolk. He's 23. We'll see. Just stockpiling as many guys, and hopefully a couple of them hit. This guy looks like he could be okay. Kirby Snead, pretty good movement on his pitches, and he pitched pretty well in AAA last year. I have him in Bowie right now just because my AAA bullpen has a lot of dudes, and he'll close there, so I figure he'll get more work. I'll bump him up as the season goes on because he has 25. So, anyways, those are the trades that I made. You can see there are a couple computer trades too. So then I'm going to go to the prospect pipeline, and this is Baseball News Network rankings of prospects, right? So, and I can look at my team's I can look at a list of my team's prospects and kind of see, where the guys that I got rank now. So my scouts rankings are different, but I just go kind of by the Baseball News Network ranking. It's kind of like, MLB pipeline type thing. And so anyways, we've got Toro here. He's a guy I got. He's now my 5th ranked prospect, and he's 119 overall. I skipped right over the the Chance Cisco deal. Here, let me go back to that because that was kind of a big one. And like I said, maybe I did say it. I don't know, but just in case, I traded Chance Cisco. Here we go. To the Cubs. And the reason I traded him is because he's not a good catcher, and having a good defensive catcher in this game is important. And I was able to get a really good pitching prospect for him, Corey Abbott. He's going to be one of my top-ranked pitching prospects. He pitched in Double-A last year and was really good. I'm going to keep him in Double-A to start the year just because my Triple-A rotation is kind of crowded. And I got Wyatt Short, who's like going to be a setup guy in Norfolk for me, who looks like he could be a decent bullpen arm too. No superstars, but and $350,000 in cash. All right. Anyways, sorry I went out of order there. So, anyways, back to the Orioles. So I got Toro in the deal with the Astros. He's 5th, 119 overall. There's Corey Abbott. He's my 8th ranked prospect. And what is he? He's my 3rd ranked pitching prospect. So that was worth it to me to get rid of Cisco, who I just wasn't going to keep long term because he's just not a good defensive catcher. And I want a good defensive catcher. I found that it makes a big difference in the game. Armenteros, he came over in the deal for Mancini too, my 12th ranked prospect. Bilek is my 15th ranked prospect, also came over in the Mancini deal. Isbell was the Iglesias deal. He's 17th overall. So those are 5 dudes I added that are in my top 20 prospects, which, again, I didn't get like a game changer, but I feel like that's pretty good, pretty good additions to the farm system. Some other dudes that I got Cole Freeman in the Givens deal. He's my 22nd. Stefan is 34th. I got him in the Hanser Alberto deal. McCormick is 37th. I got him in the Mancini deal. And then this dude, Jackson Tetreault, I got him in the Givens deal. He's 50th overall. So yeah, I feel like I added 5 dudes from my top 17. I feel like that's pretty good work. Good job, Pat. No. All right, and now my opening day roster. So I'll kind of go down this. With Cisco out, I added Austin Wynns to the 26-man roster. Sorry. Severino's the backup. And then I've got Renato Nunez at first base, Stevie Wilkerson, Rio Ruiz, third base, Richie Martin, shortstop. These are all dudes who are with the Orioles or were with the Orioles last year in real life or within the system still somewhere. Same with Dwight Smith. He's going to left field. I signed this guy, Jacob Hanneman, to play center field for me because he's an awesome center fielder. And so he played in AAA last year in real life. Yeah, and he's only played in 2017, his age 26 season. He got 20 plate appearances for the Mariners, according to Out of the Park. That's the extent of his major league experience. Um, and then I've got Santana in right field and Davis. This is my lineup versus righty at DH. Davis DHs. He comes out for. I never know how to say this guy's name. We'll call it Valleca. I know it's probably wrong, but hey. So then, who else do I have? So I did sign Steve Lombardozzi to be a utility infielder, and the reason I did that is because he has good leadership, which I didn't really have too many dudes on my roster who are good leaders, and especially when you're bad, that kind of helps people from being too grumpy about being bad. Valleca, or however you say it, I already covered him. And then I've got Mason Williams as well. He's a dude who played in Norfolk last year in real life. He's my backup outfielder. When DJ Stewart comes off the DL in a week, I'll add him and I'll send down an infielder because I'm carrying an extra infielder right now and only 4 outfielders. So those are the bats, and you'll notice Austin Hayes and Cedric Mullins and some other guys are missing. I'll get into that in a minute and why they're in Norfolk. And then the pitching staff, really, I didn't touch too much other than trading a couple guys. But this is pretty, these are all guys who are actually still with the team in real life. Cobb, Means, Malone, Wojo, and Michael Bowman is my rotation for now. And I let my manager set the rotation and my lineups. I control everything else, but he controls the lineups. I got Tanner Scott, who he's 25, and honestly, if he's awesome and brings back assets, on a rebuilding team, I'll trade a closer for prospects all the time. But I held off. Castro, I tried to trade him because he's making like $1 million. Nobody wanted him. Paul Fry. Blyer, same thing. Tried to trade him because he's making over the league minimum and wasn't able to. And Armstrong, Lakins, Harvey, and Cole Stewart right now is going to be a specialist and middle reliever. Hunter Harvey is going to be long relief. I'm surprised that he's not in the back of the bullpen setting up, but maybe because he's got some stamina. So that's my team. It's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. But anyways, and then the last thing, so that's the opening day roster, unless something changes in the next 3 days. I will keep an eye on waivers because a lot of times on opening day, a bunch of guys are on waivers. That's kind of when the roster deadline is for teams and Out of the Park. So the reason that I have Mullins and Hayes and Diaz all down here is because I want them to work on their defense. So I have them locked in to play certain positions, and that will help their defensive ratings if they do it over the course of a couple months. You'll see that rating start to tick up. So I've got Mullins working on left field, Diaz working on his center fielding, and Hayes working on right field. And I'll switch them around some. Like I will get them all kind of versatile and see who gets better at center field the fastest and kind of lock in on that guy eventually. And then same thing up here. I've got Toro. I want him to become better at first base. And then Mountcastle, I want him to become better at third base. So I'm locking those guys in at those positions to just kind of get some experience there. And here's this bullpen. There's Stefan, that guy I got. Herman is the guy I got in the Givens trade to the Nationals. Wyatt Short is the guy I got for the Cubs. That's one thing I've found in this game is you can often get the computer to throw in relief prospects and eventually build a decent major league bullpen out of it if you accumulate enough guys and just kind of weed them out over the course of a couple of years. You can get some pretty good relievers in there. Keegan Aiken, for some reason, is going to be my lefty specialist and not in my rotation, but I let the computer handle that. Hey man, pitch your way into the rotation if you want to be in the rotation. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Those are the trades I made. That's the team I have now. Opening day's coming up. And yeah, and the other thing I did was, I traded all those guys to open up budget room. So I was able to, I bumped my scouting budget up. It was at like $6 million. I bumped it up to just a hair over $9 million. And then my development budget was at like $6 million. But with all the money I freed up in that trade, in those trades, I bumped it up to over $18 million. And then the other thing I did was my international free agent budget was only set at just under $2 million. But now it's actually set, I can spend at the max $5 million. So that'll come in handy. So really, I freed up like 18 million bucks with all those trades and put money into all these things that are going to help me get better the only way I can get better with such a bad major league roster. And that's, build the farm system and draft, develop prospects, international free agents, etc. Anyways, that's the team. I will probably just update like monthly or so on the out of the park schedule, like end of April, end of May, and maybe like when the draft comes up or international free agency, do an episode on that. But I'd like to keep them kind of short, 10-15 minutes updates. Anyways, as always, to my thousands of fans, if you have any questions, just let me know. Leave them in the comments or yeah. So this is the terrible Orioles team. And yeah, we'll I'm sure win a couple games in April, but not much beyond that.